Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us again for day 3 of Darrin's fantastic Quixel workflows. And once again, we're joined by master trainers Jonas and Darrin for today. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. Hey, everybody.
Hey there.
So thanks for joining us again. Hi to Barry and Drake, who are saying hi on the questions area. And that's just a reminder that at any point, please just jump in and ask us a question. And Jonas is doing a fantastic job of not only asking the questions, but actually adding in his own experience, which I'm really enjoying. So that's excellent.
Thank you.
A couple of housekeeping things. As per usual, we're recording this. And hello to Stephen from Toronto, by the way. We've got people from all over. We're recording this, and you'll get the link to the recording. If you want to just dive in and see the recording more quickly, then you can go to the Maxon training channel or the Maxon training team channel on YouTube. And here are the 2 recordings from this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, if you missed those. And inside those sessions, also, we've got the links to the various topics and the various things that we mentioned. For example, that link to the free t-shirt that I mentioned on each of these sessions, where we want to give you a free Maxon t-shirt and you only have to pay the shipping for. So that link's in there too. Also, I just want to give you a little reminder about certification, because we have lots of different forms of certification on the Maxon website, and you typically get certified either as a user or in fact a trainer through your local training center. And let us know if you want us to put you in contact with them. But I wanted to just point out this thing, the 1-hour test. This is completely free, and it tests your knowledge on a wide range of Cinema 4D topics. And in fact, the list here is a list inside one of the links on the page. And here's the list, which is quite exhaustive in terms of general knowledge across many different disciplines inside Maxon. So have a look at that, and it's a really good way of testing your own knowledge and finding out where you can have study more, if you like. And we're adding more and more links to this document, including links to some of Jonas's quick tips. So it's a really fast way of being able to jump in and improve your knowledge or remind yourself about things that you haven't used for a while. But those are brilliant. And in fact, I'll put a link into Jonas's quick tips as well into the follow-up, because those come out. It's every week, isn't it, that you put another quick tip in, Jonas, isn't it?
Yeah, every Thursday. So actually, 1 hour ago, there was a new quick tip.
Prolific with this. This is excellent.
You're like a machine.
Yes, absolutely.
Quick tip machine.
Quick tip machine, yeah.
Okay, Anderson's asking for the link to the t-shirt. I've just added that into the chat as well. So great, and thanks Kent for testing out the audio and the visuals is working. And as you can sense, I can finally share my screen. We worked it out. Great. Okay, cool. So, oh yes, one last quick thing. Don't forget, next Monday is the last one of the year of our free demystifying post-production sessions. And this one is on the new physics simulation engine in the latest release of Trapcode 5. And we'll put the link into the chat. In fact, I'll do this right now. And so feel free to turn up to that. And those recordings go to the same place, that YouTube channel. And by the way, in January, very excitingly, this is a sneak peek. It's all right if I give this away slightly, isn't it? We've got an interesting topic set up inside Cinema where we're diving into volumes, and we're going to be looking at different types of volume builder in Cinema. And Jonas and Darrin and Ellie and Matt will be back discussing that, and that'll be really exciting. And also, we were jumping into all sorts of workflows with it, including a bit of X particles along the way and some Redshift too. So that'll be exciting thing to look out for. You'll get the link via email, and look out on our social media accounts as well for that. Great.
It's also cool because it's the first one that that we've all worked on together, which is pretty fun.
That's true. That's true. In fact, that's a good thing to mention, because it's a collection of all our different angles and knowledge to jump in and create a really interesting project. Yeah, so we're very excited about that for January too. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Darrin now, who's going to be talking more about workflows, including, I believe, sharing some presets from Cinema and being able to use those in Megascans and also workflows with Redshift as well. So that's quite exciting too.
We'll see about
okay,
the presets.
Anderson's mentioned he's not seeing the chat. I'll add those links into your comments on the question and answer area, Anderson. So we'll make sure we get those to you. Right, let me make you a presenter, Darrin.
Alrighty. Okay. So I'm gonna turn off my camera. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so you can see this mix I have in Mixer. So today I'm going to start out. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining. If this is your first day, thank you for being here. So I'm going to start out by showing you something I didn't get to yesterday in Mixer. I'm going to do this quickly. So if Jonas or Simon want to set a 5 or 10 minute timer, that'd be great for me. But I just want to show you how I did this landscape because first of all, there's different blending modes that that we can take advantage of in Mixer that I want to give you some tips on how to work with and get a feel for. And I also want to show you that when you create something this way, how easy it is to save it and then export it. So I'm going to actually start with a new mix and we'll go untitled, not saving any changes. So just like yesterday, we have a base layer. Now I'm going to add a noise, this little wavy stripe icon on top of it. And this noise over here in our main layers is actually like displacement. So this I want to be pretty low, just some disturbance. And that's fine. You know, maybe I could like slide it over and sort of find a sweet spot. And then I'm going to add another one on top of that and maybe make it a little bigger and maybe play with these levels a bit and just sort of find something of interest. That's fine. And then I'm going to add another one on top, which is going to have even finer detail. That might be a bit much, but yeah, you know what? Let's go down like so. Let's bring this. Let's just bring that up. Okay, now I have this displacement, which I can, with this icon or hitting the D key, as in Darrin, I can turn on and off. But now I'm going to start adding some layers on here from Megascans. So I'm going to go to my surfaces in my library and let's go soil. And let's start with this soil mud. I'm going to add that actually on top of everything. So you see if we put it between noises, how that sort of respects them. But I'm going to put it at the very top. And what I want to focus on here is the blending from above and below. Yesterday, it was primarily opacity mask and working with masks. But for this, I'm going to go from below and then focus on this threshold. So I can see that I'm basically like raising the level of this. But when it's at the top, it's flat. So what I can do is there's this wrap to underlying. And as I drag that up, it's going to wrap this surface to the underlying displacement. So now I can see with this threshold, it creeps up, which I really like. So I'm going to go all the way up, and then I'm going to increase the repetitions or tiling under the placement. So it's a finer detail. And then I'm going to add another layer on top of this. Let's go with some grass. So I'm doing a search in my local library for grass. I'll add the grass wild on top, and I'm going to blend this from above. I'm going to wrap to underlying and then focus on the threshold. Now, where we have this edge where it's blending, we have a radius to control how sharp that edge will be, or how wide and sort of blurred it can be. And then to control the detail within that specific radius, we have this preserve details slider. So I'm going to turn the wrap to underlying down a bit, and we can also blur the underlying soil mud so that this wild grass comes out more, and I'm going to increase its tiling, oops, as well. Okay, and yeah, okay, and then let's see, I wanted more of a plateau in here. So okay, so on this noise, I'm actually going to take advantage of this clamping of the low and high points. And I'm going to bring the strength or influence of that down just a bit. So now I can add on top of the grass wild, I'm going to add this clover patches on top, and I'm going to blend that. So again, wrap to underlying, we can have that coming up from the bottom, but I want this to come from on top, and I want it to be just about there, and then I can play with the radius and the preserve details and just sort of tweak this to get the result I want. Let's increase the tiles a bit. And then, so now I'm getting some different levels here. I think the grass could come down a bit more, like so, and then maybe bring the moss in. And on top of this, I'm going to add a liquid layer. That's this little drop icon, like a water drop. So this is going to go on top of everything. And this doesn't have like above or below. It's just sort of has this threshold for where the surface of the liquid is. So I'm going to go about just above where the grass picks up. And let's find a good point here. And what we can see is that this is a fake like refraction, you know, and it's not actually calculating refraction. It's fake, but it looks really cool. We can adjust the radius of this and the detail, and this also affects the glossiness and the reflection, but we also have turbidity and depth, the surface and depth, so that we can see deeper in through the water to what's underlying it. So if I turn off liquid, then we have like the mud. If we turn on the liquid, then we can see the mud in there. But the greater this depth value, the less we're gonna see of that. So I usually end up with something very low, just so it's starting to peek through in the deepest parts. And then this moist setting is really cool. This controls basically how the liquid is absorbed in the area surrounding that that threshold region. And we can control the radius there. We can blur it. We can offset the roughness, and we can make it darker, which when something is wet, it tends to get darker. So that may be a bit smooth for my taste, so maybe I'll turn the blur down. But that's it. I just wanted to sort of get you into messing with some of these blends from above and below. You can always add more detail by taking advantage of these atlases. There's a fallen branches one. That's, I believe, one of the free ones that you get with Bridge. So I can drop that in on top and set the repetitions. That's probably a bit much. And then this can also, oh, it's updating. We'll do let's try this from below. Yeah, so on the lower parts, there's that. And I don't want it to be on top of the liquid, so I'll just drag it underneath. And then if we zoom in, now we're seeing some fallen branches there and through the water a little bit. But anyway, this being done on a plane, the default plane, we can actually, it's basically just a surface in Bridge. So what we can do is export to library, okay? So if I click on this, then I can set a name like patchy muddy
Darrin,
grass. Yeah,
just
go ahead.
a quick heads up. We are hitting the 10-hour mark. This is the alarm you asked for.
Yeah, thank you. So that's perfect, because this is it. I'm going to turn on gloss here. You can set the resolution you want, and why not? I'll do 40. You know what? I'm not that excited about it. We'll go 2048. We can select a category, name it, and click export, and that is automatically going to send it and save it in Bridge, so you don't have to set any paths or anything. So if you're in Bridge, you may want to reload it, and then, excuse me, we go down to the very bottom to the little monitor icon, and there should be a, it's a little slow. Is my audio okay? Because it seems to be a little sluggish.
No, it's all good.
Okay, cool. So I go down here, I go to Mixer, and now I have Patchy Muddy Grass, which is the one that I just did. And that is already here and ready to export to Cinema 4D. And that's how I did the this landscape material from day one. So I just wanted to make sure to show you guys that, because that's it's really cool. Okay, so now I'm actually going to close this, and I'm going to go ahead.
There was one little question by Rob. He was asking, can pools be of different depth? But I think you can see it here pretty well that they can right now in this image. Like the right pool is not as deep as the big pool there in the center.
So this liquid layer is this top of this liquid layer is going to be at the same level. Okay. What's underneath it is going to be like here. Some of these pits are deeper than others, but with the liquid layer, that doesn't matter so much because it sort of is faking what's going on there. So the level of this liquid layer is always going to be the same. Okay, so I can add like a liquid here, and I've never tried this, adding another liquid on top of it, and then we can change the color of it so that it's maybe a little fresher. That may be too much. Yeah, but see, it totally overrides the one underneath it. And unfortunately, we cannot apply any masking to liquid layers, not yet anyway. Hopefully that's something they'll add in the future. Any other questions?
Dave was asking, are you going to show how to get it into Cinema 4D with Redshift?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I've already exported it. So let me just go to a new project, and I'll add a plane. Let's see, what is, yeah, so we'll go 400. Let's switch to Redshift. I'm gonna add a dome light, and there's the plane. Okay, so did I go to the render? Yes, Redshift render. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to Bridge, And the one that I just sent to the, that I just created was Patchy Money Grass. There it is. I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to export to Cinema 4D. I am. Very good. And then I'll click on export. And it's applied it to the plane, and it's in the scene. And so now I can come in here. Let's go Redshift Viper. And I need to turn on the displacement. So I'll go ahead to the geometry tab of the Redshift object tag and enable that. And then I can start fiddling with the settings and trying to find the right values for this. So, you know, it'd be better with an HDR in here, but it's a start. And the cool thing about this is that everything you do in Mixer is tileable. So I can say like 2 by 2, and it's going to be a seamless tile, which is really cool. So any other questions? Okay.
Did that require a plugin to do that?
Yeah, so that's actually covered in day one. So let me actually close this. So go back and rewatch the day one video. Maybe Simon or Jonas can post that. But it does require a plugin. It's a Quixel Bridge plugin, and you can just go to Manage Plugins, click on that, and then download the Cinema 4D one. But yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. You can also rewatch day one of this week. But what I'd like to do now is shift gears and focus on converting a scene in Cinema 4D to Redshift. And I've chosen in this architectural visualization example file that's from the content browser. And so if you go to presets, example scenes, disciplines, architectural visualization scenes, then it is this staircase room. Let me show you the final render. Shift F6, and let's do this and that, and double click. Okay, so this is the final render of the physical render of this project, and I'm going to convert it to Redshift. And what I ended up with earlier this morning doing this again was this. So I had a little bit of fun with the glass because I sort of liked it to be frosted. Made more sense to me anyway. But this is my conversion, and this is the original. So, you know, it's not like perfect one-to-one, but the point here isn't for me to show you how to get the exact identical results every time, but how to, you know, start to get into this and some of the things to watch out for. So I've already opened up this project here. I am going to change my layout. So let's just go to this single view. I'm going to put my materials and coordinates manager over on the left here. And let's make these icons all a little smaller, because on my little laptop, they take up quite a bit of space. And then, cool. So now to get started converting things, I'm going to first set the renderer to Redshift, and I'm going to turn off color mapping. And this scene is lit by Cinema 4D's physical sky object. Now, if I go ahead and start the viewport IPR, we can see that some things come through, some things don't. But the lighting, the only thing we're really getting from the physical sky that's of value other than like some color, is, I think, the direction of the light. So what I'm going to do instead of this physical sky is I'm going to use the redshift object sun and sky rig. And then I'm going to tweak its sun's rotation to closely match this. So I'm going to bring down the rotation heading and play with the pitch. And what I'm looking for, let me turn this off, is with just the physical sky, let's reload that. With just the physical sky, you can see how there's this sort of like arrow, this pointer, this triangle shadow that's sort of meeting the bottom of the pillar. And then from the top of the window, it's coming across like this, and we got a couple steps. So I'm looking for that. We got the bushes or the trees there. So let's turn that sun back on and continue tweaking that. So let's see here. Let's go like so. And that's actually pretty, that's, oh, yeah, that's nearly right on. So I can see the shadows are sort of overlapping. I'm going to turn off that physical sky now. Actually, I'm going to delete it. And now with the redshift sky and sun, I'm getting the shadow, but not the global illumination. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the redshift render settings. And in the GI tab, enable the primary GI engine. I'm going to use brute force and set the rays to 1024. And then I'm getting some GI in here, which is great. Now, there's a thing with the shadows here. They're pretty hard, the edges of these shadows. So what I'm going to do is in the redshift sun, this is, I've selected the redshift sky, but we have a sun tab. I'm going to go to the sun disk scale, and increasing this is essentially like increasing the size of the area light. So the larger the area light, the softer shadows and illumination is. So I'm going to go to about 5. So I'm getting just a bit of softness on the shadows farthest away from their source. So I like that. And I think I'm good with that. I'm now going to shift gears and start converting these materials. And there's a couple that are really important. I want to make sure I get to them first. One is the hair. So on the rug for this, let me bring up the render again. You can see there's a rug with hair. Okay, and in Redshift, we have to do a couple of things to get that hair in. First of all, I need to add the effect hair renderer in here. And then doing that, I should, do I need to refresh? I should get something. Let's see, let's go find the hair. It's under furniture. There we go, right here. So onto this, I'm going to add a Redshift hair material. I'm keeping the materials that are on here. So I have the original Cinema 4D hair material and then this other material, which I'll be converting later, but it finally updated, and hopefully you can see that it's no longer a shiny plastic mat. It now has the hair strands, but to more closely match the hair material from Cinema 4D, I'm going to add a Redshift material hair, and I'm going to put this on there as well. And so this, I think, sees all of the, all the relevant settings here and pipes them into the Redshift hair material, which has everything already linked up. And because of that, there's really no need to tweak these settings other than like glossiness and stuff like that. But I'm not going to get into that. So that's the hair. The hair is done. Another really distracting thing here are the pillows. Okay, now these pillows, they are actually where pillows. There we go. So this pillow material is heavily dependent on the reflectance layer type Irawan, the woven cloth shader in Cinema 4D. That we cannot bake out into Redshift. So we just need to create our own cloth material. And lucky us, there is a free one in Bridge. So let me pull up Bridge. And let's see, there's that guy. Okay, so, oh, Bridge, come back to me. There you are. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the free category, surfaces, and here's a fabric. And then we actually have a leather and a linen canvas. I'm going to export this linen canvas. And let's see. It's, I guess I didn't have anything selected, so it didn't apply it, which is fine. Let me go ahead and select this pillow and this pillow. And here we go, right there. I'm going to select their tags. Now, these tags actually have their own unique projections, and this is something that I think I pointed out on day one. So I'm actually really glad that I didn't have these selected when I exported. Let me show you this real quick. If I select these pillows, first note that this tag is cubic projection. Now, I'll select these pillows. Let's get rid of this material. And I'm going to again export that, that linen canvas. And now you can see it's automatically been applied to the pillows, but the projection is UVW. I actually lost some settings that were here. So when you want this to not automatically apply the materials like this, then what you can do is go to, oh shoot. Yeah, that I just lost. Yeah, so what you want to do is make a copy of the tags first. That's one way to protect yourself. Another thing you can do is under your extensions menu in the Megascans plugin settings, uncheck apply material to selection so that it won't automatically overwrite any other materials that you got in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put these on and set it to, I believe it was cubic, and hopefully it won't be. Oh, you know what? I do actually have over here my completed scene. Let's turn that off. And pillows, we have 195. Oh, yep, that's all good. Okay, cool. All right, never mind that. I don't need, what I was gonna do is copy the tag from that other scene to this one, but it is fine. So let's get this render going again. And let's see, we got the hair, we got the pillows. So any material that I've already converted, I'm actually going to put into a different layer. So on this material, I'm right-clicking. That's the linen one I just brought in. Now I'm going to say add to new layer, and I'm going to double-click on that layer right there and name it Redshift Converted. And then those in no layer have not yet been converted. So as I'm working, I'm going to bring them over and drop them in. So let's go to the trees. Now, the trees and what else do I want to do? I'm going to, so Redshift does come with a command to automatically convert materials to Redshift. Okay, so here we have a color channel with trees ping, luminance channel, same deal, reflectance with it, which is just specular, which don't even need, and an alpha channel. So what I'm going to do is go to convert this, go to the material menu, create, Redshift, tools, and then choose, there's a lot of options with the word convert. I'm going to do convert and replace materials. Now it's only going to apply this to the materials that are selected. Alternatively, you can convert all or convert and replace all. So here, I'm going to convert and replace this one trees material, and it's going. It's still calculating. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you what we got here. It's a little sluggish. Oh, how'd that happen? Okay, so we got a Redshift material, and into it we have a texture node named diffuse texture, another one named incandescent texture, another one named alpha texture, but these all have the exact same asset. So I could just delete 2 of them and pipe the diffuse into all of these other locations. I mean, that's sort of the benefit of working with nodes, is that you don't need to use one thing 100 times. You can use it once. But I do want to enable the gamma override and set it to sRGB here. And that's, I think, it. We can see those trees coming through. I want to make sure there's no reflection. Yep, the reflection weight is 0. Good. So that is done. I'm going to drag that into converted. Let's see. There are 2 other things that were really sort of tricky was the glass and the radiator. Now the radiator is going to be a little tricky to pick up on at this distance and at this size, right? Because it's so far away and the quality of this render is so low. So I'm going to jump out of the render view. So right now this is the current Cinema 4D material on the radiator. So it's actually these 2 materials, and they both have anisotropic reflectance layers in them, which is very different from Redshift's anisotropic effect. So we're just going to have to deal with the fact there's going to be some differences here. This is another thing that we cannot bake into Redshift, this anisotropic reflectance type. Any of these things, I believe, we cannot bake into Redshift. What we can bake into Redshift is anything that would, like in a Cinema 4D material, that would go into this texture field. Most of the things there can be baked, if not everything. But the actual reflectance layer types, these, no, cannot. Okay, so let's see, let's go to the steel. And just looking at the Cinema 4D material, it looks very weird. And that's because the artist that created this project set the layer sampling to 0. And that's why it looks so noisy. But if we turn that up, then with a little bit more render time, we get a smoother preview of how that looks. Now, these previews are in Cinema 4D, standard or physical. This is not a Redshift rendered preview, but we can see what this material should look like. So in that steel material, I'm going to go ahead and do that conversion under Redshift Tools, convert and replace material. And let's see, it's all white. Let's get into this material and check it out. So a couple of things have happened here. We have an IOR reflectance, and that's probably not great for this since this is supposed to be a metal. IOR at this level tends to be more like a dielectric reflection. If we put this up to 15, then it can, oh, this roughness is also quite high, and the anisotropy is at 1. Let's put that to 0. Let's put that back to 1.5. So, you know, here's the bottom line, is I want some anisotropy. I can, you know, maybe turn that roughness down a little bit, but really, I don't think I want IOR here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to select these settings, and I'm going to right click and copy them. So I clicked on anisotropy and then held shift and clicked on color, and then right click, copy, and let's make, yeah. And then I'm actually going to set this to, let's see, was this an aluminum? It's steel, so let's, I don't know, let's try silver. And this changes the Fresnel type to color and edge tint. Now I can right click here, and there's paste or paste identical. And that puts those values, the anisotropic values, back in there. So now we're getting that anisotropy and the roughness. Good. And so that one is converted. I'm going to drag that in. I'm going to do the same thing with this material, which also has anisotropy, but it also has a gradient. Okay, now a gradient can be baked. I tried to use Redshift's ramp, which is like a gradient, but it was too problematic, didn't work. I tried lots of different things, but in this case, the best result was to actually rely on the automatic. Let me show you. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Redshift Tools and convert and replace that material. And in here, what we see is that there is the RS material node, and then there's the texture node, but connected to it is this C4d Shader Node. And what this thing does is it'll take whatever was loaded in that Cinema 4D material, and it will bake it. It'll basically pre-calculate that shader and make a texture out of it to apply to the model. So it's not a shader being calculated at render time. Redshift can't do that with some 4D shaders. So the problem here, though, is, well, there's a couple. It's like all white. Why is it all white? Well, let's go to the material, and we have a very similar problem with this material that we had with the last one. This diffuse color is quite heavy, and the reflection isn't what we want. So again, I'm going to select these reflectance options, the reflection options. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to change the preset to silver and paste in those options. Now in the over here, what I need to do is I need to increase the resolution of this. So I don't know, let's do like 1,000 in width, and let's just double the height. And let's see, this should be, yeah, that should be already applied. And now in the diffuse texture, I'm going to enable sRGB, but gosh, I'm still not seeing it. Well, let's set the weight to 1 for the diffuse. And do I need to force a refresh here? Oh, wow. Time is slipping by. Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to move on and get back to this later. This is That's weird. So there's a couple of other things I want to show you. I want to show you the glass. Man, that's a bummer. Let's just go over here. Let's go to these couple of these materials I can do all at once. Like this material, it's just a black material. I can turn that off. The book is good. So this guy, here, let's close this. These four, I'm going to do them all at once. I'm going to go create, redshift, tools, convert and replace those materials. Oh, it's finally updated over there and is starting to come through. Very good. Let me jump back to the camera view. Okay, so let's see, the books, now we have a diffuse texture. Wherever you have a diffuse texture that goes into the diffuse color, you want to make sure that you enable the gamma override and check sRGB, okay? And so I need that for this guy, and nope, not there, not there, and not there. Now this material has a layer shader in it. And this is interesting because it has just Cinema 4D noises. Okay, it's just basically a noise with some gray to white, and then multiplied at a low level over it is a finer noise from black to white. Now, if we convert this, again, going redshift tools, convert and replace materials, then we get that baking shader thing again. And sure, we can increase the resolution. And with the time that we have left, I think I'm just gonna do that and leave it. What I wanted to do was let's bring up the node panel, I wanted to bring in like the noise, the Maxon noise, and the color layer, and just rebuild it, and then pipe that in. But we can save that for another time. I am going to enable sRGB for this because it's going to diffuse color. And I'm going to close that and drag that over here. Now let's get rid of that guy. These pages and this plastic, we can do these all at once. These pages don't really need any reflection because they're paper. So I'm just going to turn that off. I'm going to select all the pages, the paper, and that plastic, and I'm going to convert and replace materials. And here's a little thing we can do to avoid having to go to that menu all the time, is we can go create a little icon. So I'm going to go to new palette. We'll do customize palettes. And then here, clicking on this new palette button, I get a new window I can drag commands into. So I'm going to go to this name filter and type in convert. And let's organize. This is everything in Cinema 4D with the word convert in it. So I'm going to organize this by plugin and go down to, here we go, redshift, convert all materials. Here we go, convert materials. I'm going to drag and drop it right there. Then I'm going to close this. I'm going to take this and just dock it right there. So now if I select the steps material, this has one thing in it of interest, a filter, which is desaturating the color texture. I'm going to click on my new docked command and convert and replace this guy. Now, because this is simply a desaturated diffuse texture, then we can simply get a color correct node. Here we go, color correct, and pipe the diffuse into it and the color correct out into the reflect color, and set the color correct saturation scale to 0. Make sure, of course, the diffuse is sRGB, and then we can get rid of those nodes. So that's a more typical setup there for that. And let's see, this is, which material is that? The steps. Okay, good. So I'll go ahead and close that. And now don't worry too much about how the previews look, because you can see in the view, it's okay. Now let's do the glass. I'm gonna go ahead and convert and replace that. And one thing about this is if we take a look at the original render, you can see how has a bit of a tint to it. And it's also quite clear, but there is some tint, there is some darkness. So we want to be able to control that. So let's go to the glass material, and we're going to go, I'm going to fold everything up except for the last category, refraction. And then I'm going to go to down here to subsurface, and I need a color in here. Unfortunately, I forgot to copy the color. But I believe I have it over, oh man, why do I always switch scenes live while rendering? Glass. There we go, glass material. There's that color. I'm gonna right click on that and go back to, of course I could copy the material, but I wanna show you how I get a feel for the look of this glass, because this is pretty important. So I'm going to paste in the color I want, which actually ended up originally being like this, very intense, 100% saturation and brightness. So let's go back here. Let's start the render. Let's give it a second here. Oh my gosh, 9 minutes. So you can see how intense that is. Now, what I want to point out is that if I set the saturation of this color from 100 to 99, then it's basically gone. So there's like so little control. We can get more control by having a larger absorption scale in this case. So if I multiply this absorption scale by 10, now as I go down in small increments, I have finer control over the saturation and also of the brightness. And the darker this is, then the less. Well, that's actually not bad. But yeah, I want it to be a little dark, not quite so blue. And I thought it was just fun to add some roughness in the refraction because I just think it looks really cool. Let's see here. I think I should stop here and see what kind of questions we have because I'm so short on time. I did do most of the things that I wanted to do, which is to show how to get hair working, to show an alternative to some of the issues we have with the Erawan woven cloth and some of the other reflectance layers. Some of those things to look out for when converting, and also to make sure that you enable the sRGB option in any textures. Now, let's see. Jonas, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Let's see. Okay, take a quick look at the questions. I want to explain one thing, and then I'm going to ask you about the questions. So this material, the diffuse color is going to be sRGB, but the reflection and bump, I'm not going to do sRGB. I'm just going to enable those gamma overrides. Okay. And yeah, okay, Jonas, questions?
Not too many. Simon and I answered all of them.
Oh, great.
As you were talking.
So I can keep going then.
Yeah, there was just like one one thing Jeffrey pointed out, I can always use a reminder on when to use gamma override, reset gamma for non-diffuse parameters like reflection, bump, etc. And the standard answer for that would be, I think, if you want to have a texture working as like an image, like with color and so on, you would use the standard gamma.
Yeah.
And whenever you want to drive data with it, you would override the gamma to make it linear.
So exactly. My answer to that is, if it's like the color texture, then you want to make sure that you do enable an sRGB. If it's almost anything else, if it's bump or normal, displacement, anything else, then you can just simply enable it. But yeah, as you get deeper into working with textures, and you'll start to get a feel for it. But bottom line, if it's a color texture, definitely enable and sRGB. Everything else you can just enable and leave it. Okay, let's see here. This doesn't have reflection. That diffuse is done. Page 2, that also needs the same treatment. Enable sRGB, because I did a bit of a batch conversion. I didn't get them all at once. Now there's another thing. Let's see, 4 minutes. There's another thing I wanted to point out, and that is, let's stop here. In the original render, there's this really cool look where it's like blown out behind the window, and I was able to get like close to it, but it was actually a little tricky. What I had to do to get that was actually in the redshift sky object, I had to turn off the sky in there. So in overrides, I turn off the background, and then let's see, the ground color we can set to white and blur it a bit more. But I need something else here. So I'm going to go to this trees object, and I'm just going to control click drag to duplicate it, and I'm going to call it white BG. And onto it, I'm going to create a, you know what, let's see if this material will work. Now I do want to move it back, and I want to scale it up. So I'm going to say 100, 100, 100. Oh, I did the trees. Way to go, Darrin. White background, 100, 100, 100. So I'm going to scale that up, and I don't want it to block light or contribute to illumination. So what I'm going to do on this is add a redshift tag, redshift object. Invisibility, I'm going to enable override, and the only thing that I want checked here is primary and secondary rays and receives GI. So I'm going to turn off, uncheck everything except for primary rays, secondary rays, and receives GI. Okay, cool. And then I can actually really crank up the brightness of this. Let me actually go to, I do need a separate material on this guy. So I'm just going to make it white, no reflection. And in the overall settings, I'm going to set the emission to white and a weight of, let's say, 3. I make it so bright so that when I go to the redshift post effects, let's go ahead and get that going. Let's fit to screen, or fit to the window. And let's turn on the post effects. So I got that big white background there. Now I can go to like bloom, and I can play with the settings. What I actually ended up doing to get the best result was combining a very light bloom with some photographic exposure, and some vignette, which more closely mimicked what the physical renderer was doing. So I actually did refer to the camera objects physical settings for over here. Wow, 1 o'clock. It is 1 o'clock Eastern time. This is the current state of the scene with the conversion. Now, all the conversion stuff that I showed you today is great when you're working with the Redshift shader graph, okay? As soon as you, but if you start working with Cinema 4D nodes, then there's a number of issues and problems you're going to run into because, in fact, no matter how cool Cinema 4D nodes and material nodes are, for Redshift, the Redshift shader graph is actually better. It supports a lot more features. There is no multi-shader, for example, in Redshift using the Cinema 4D nodes. You would have to create one from scratch using a combination of other nodes. There's some drag and drop things, doesn't work with Espresso like the Redshift shader graph does. Anyway, any other questions that have come up?
I'm just going through them. I answered a few of them. And actually one of the questions was related to the Cinema 4D node workflow with Redshift. Maybe you can show it anyways,
Sure.
because so for me personally, I prefer the workflow in the Cinema 4D node interface. But as you already pointed out, some of the features that you have in the Redshift node graph are not available in the Cinema 4D node graph. That's something we have to work on, definitely. But
was there something specific that you wanted to show?
Sorry?
Was there something specific you wanted me to show? Because here's where the issues come up. So, for example, let's say I wanted to go to the let's take the book, one of the book materials, one with the texture. Okay, so this has a diffuse texture. So if we wanted to convert this to Cinema 4D nodes, there is also a command for that. So we can go to the Redshift menu, and again, under Tools, we have Convert to Nodes, or Convert and Replace with Nodes. So I'm just going to say Convert to Nodes. And then I'm going to get a new material to the left, and this one, it's opening up. It is the Cinema 4D nodes material. And there's a number of nodes that we just don't get over here. For example, we don't get the Cinema 4D baking node, the thing that bakes like the wood shader or the any shader that you load into Cinema 4D, color or bump or whatever. We can't bake that out. There has to be a node for that. We can't use Espresso here, but like Jonas says, the workflow of nodes, like how you interact with it, I actually prefer, because I could, for example, go to color, correct, and I can drag a node right onto the wire and it automatically connects it. I mean, it's that type of thing that I like about nodes. What I don't like is how it doesn't support baking, and also some materials simply will not convert depending on what is in them. So then you have to go and figure out what it is that's blocking the conversion. Those tend to be a vertex map. If there's a filter or a layer shader, I think that blocks it. There's a couple of things that will block a conversion from shader graph to Cinema 4D nodes. And that's why, among other reasons, I want to stay with for now, the Redshift shader graph nodes. Does that sort of speak to what you were hoping for, Jonas?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Are there any other questions about converting?
No, not about converting.
Okay.
One question is, and I'm not sure if we can solve that. Can you get those black thumbnails showing a preview?
So like here where it's black, I actually have a preview instead, like of the glass, like in standard renderer. So that is another benefit of using Cinema 4D nodes. So let's find the glass material here, and let's do a Redshift tools, convert to nodes. So I'm keeping the original. And let's see, this is going to be stair. Is it cap? No, is it spiral? Yeah, spiral, it's in here. Okay, so it's these guys. So I'm going to take this Cinema 4D node material, and I'm going to apply it in place of the shader graph. And this actually, well, reflectance comes through anyway. Now, maybe what I can do is, let's see. Okay, let me just put it on all of them. Select tag. Okay, maybe what I can do is, let's see, I already have the, let's go grow shading options. Transparency is on. Let's configure this view and see if, in fact, I can set the complete material transparency, but I don't expect it to work because this is, after all, Redshift. So it's like, why would we want to put more attention into this editor view when we can get really fast previews with Viper? You know, I mean, I pretty much had it on the whole time today. So I can like turn off all this other stuff to, you know, speed up my scene. And if this is still too slow, I can increase the undersampling of textures, and I can lower the overall resolution so that it's much snappier, but lower res. Yeah, so I'd much rather work this way than rely on what I see here. I would like to have a better preview here, but we just don't have that yet, not with Redshift. But yeah.
Actually, that folds nicely into a couple of the comments we've been having about, hey, you guys own both Redshift and Cinema. When are we going to have? And there'll be a number of requests for a number of different things. So these are great questions. And as we politically didn't answer in the questions, I think right back to that that answer that we gave earlier on, that it's fantastic that the two engineering teams are chatting together, and you can probably join the dots, but there we go.
Yeah, it sounds like you're answering a question that I am totally oblivious to.
It comes up a lot, about the connection between the different technologies.
Yeah. Well,
and
we
a
can talk about that
completely
anyway.
unrelated answer. Isn't it great that we have Magic Bullet Looks in Cinema because of the Red Giant engineering team talking to the Cinema engineering team?
It is. You know, I actually tried using, I actually did a look in Magic Bullet Looks originally, and I sent you that render, Simon, for this project when I was working on it. And it was really fun and it was really cool. But I wanted to get closer to the original look. So I ended up having to rely more closely on the physical camera settings to achieve that.
Yeah. So as you probably guessed, it's a cryptic conversation we're having here.
Oh.
But Anyway, no, joking aside, we want to continue to get your suggestions for improvements, and this is fantastic. So please keep them coming. And the more that we can feed back to the product team, the better we can make things.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And I guess that's it. I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to. I really, I wanted to actually do the whole conversion with you guys, but like I said, I did show you everything, all of, like the main issues. Anything else that I converted would be repetition of what I've already shared with you. But
fantastic stuff.
Yeah, email us with any questions you have about this. If you open this up, you're doing it on your own end, you have issues, shoot us an email, and hopefully they'll get piped to me. And yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Training at sorry, old habits die hard. Training at Maxon.net. And we do read them and react to them as well. And as Darrin says, if you're trying this out, please get in contact, and we can get them to dive in and give you a hand. Be more than happy to do that.
Yeah. And
the good thing about this is that this isn't the only time we talk to you, because we've got multiple follow-up sessions all through next year in this format, and also in the demystifying format. In fact, can I share my screen?
Here
let me. You got it?
I want to answer one more question here. A question from Rice just came in. Are the Cinema 4D files available to try this stuff?
Wow, are there?
The answer is yes. The file that Darrin just worked on is from the content browser.
Yeah, so I'm actually showing that right now. And I did show that in the start of the project, but this is one of hundreds of files that you can open up that come with the Cinema 4D. They are content browser libraries, preset libraries that you may need to download through the help menu. You can do a check for updates and download them through there. But this is in the example scenes, disciplines, and architectural visualization, but there's motion graphics, there's character animation, VJ product visualization, there's all sorts of things, and so there's no shortage of resources or files for you to start exploring this and getting a feel for it.
On that note, that was an excellent segue for me to just give people a preview. This is one of the projects that we're planning for the demystifying sessions in January.
Oh, that doesn't have the nutrient mist.
I know. So this is the unfinished one. We're planning, aren't we, Darrin, to give away a version of this model during January, aren't we?
Oh, I don't know. That's. Is
I
that what they said?
I think we are.
Okay, cool.
Let's discuss this. Why not do it live? Okay. We'll have some resources for you in January anyway, but I just wanted to point out that this is one of the projects that we'll be covering with Volume Builder, and you can actually register it on it right now because it's on the main events page on the maxon.net website. So you just go to events, and then you can click on the various events, or this particular one for the demystifying ones in January, and you just click on this, and then it lists out what we're doing and which particular techniques and which particular week, and then you've got the registration link at the bottom of the page as well. So please come and join us again for that. We'll be delighted to be sharing more stuff. And thank you also for the great suggestions about future topics, as well as the feature requests too. And also the fact that you're quite enjoying this kind of 3-day phase of things, this format. So we've got more planned in the new year, as well as every Monday as well, because we want to keep answering your creative questions, of course. Fantastic. So thank you all. We never overrun. A trainer always finishes exactly when they mean to. So with thanks for your patience and for staying with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for showing up. Send us your
And
questions.
also, yes, sorry, Darrin. You know it's my thing to keep interrupting you, don't you? But I just wanted to say thanks to both of you for sharing all your knowledge on this. And thank you, Jonas, for answering those questions so diligently and also adding in extra workflow aspects to it. That's very interesting when you do that. And again, thank you officially, Darrin, for sharing your knowledge so generously. It's so great to see you in this manner, kind of sharing not only the techniques, but how you go about things and how you solve problems, because that's also useful to help people think around problem solving. So this is wonderful.
I gotta say that for this type of format, I feel like all I can do is show you my approach. I can't do like a real training where like you know, the viewers following along, because there's so many of you, unfortunately.
But some of us consider this useful, Darrin, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I know. It's still great, definitely.
Brilliant. And thank you for the kind comments lots of you are posting in the Q&A. And also, happy holidays back to you all as well.
Happy holidays.
It's important to stay safe and have some time off if you can. Excellent. Okay. Well, if you have some time on Monday for our last demystifying session, please do. All the links that we talked about and the links to recording we'll share in the follow-up email. And just keep having a look at this events page on the Maxon site. We'll keep updating it with stuff. So, thank you.
Thank
Stay
you,
healthy.
everybody. Thanks, Simon. Thanks,
everyone.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Stay safe, everyone.